There are many such topics. The rationalist attitude of the Mu'tazis and deism. Already from the deviations of the al-Sunnah, it goes to deism. From deism, it goes to atheism. When there is such a deviation from here, what it says is to turn your feet to the Qibla while standing for prayer. He says, turn your limbs to the Qibla as much as you can. And some people can't straighten their feet like that. But you have to force yourself in prayer. Because why? Now you are turning your foot to the Qibla like this. But there is such a deviation from here. Most people can't straighten their legs a little bit. When they stand for prayer, they always have such a deviation on their feet while simply standing. Now such a deviation is happening. Some people look like this all the time, but that is a problem. Even the one who tries to stand straightest has such a deviation. But this deviation is because we are far away from the Kaaba. So if you pray right near the Kaaba, if you pray in the first row or something like that, it still hits the Kaaba. But since we are far away, where does the deviation go? If you take this much deviation from here to Mecca is 2,400 kilometers or something. It shows when you look at the map. When you look 2,400 kilometers later, it doesn't hit the Kaaba. It is no longer clear whether you are going to Yemen, Damascus or Baghdad. For this reason, brother, do not divide the deviation into small deviation, big deviation. Deviation is deviation. While the minor deviation was called Mu'tazila, the subject came to deism. Because the point that rationalism leads to is the point of neutralizing religion. After that, a world according to yourself, a religion according to yourself, making everything according to yourself. That's when you become your own God. He says, Habibim, haven't you seen the one who takes the pleasure of his nafs and his desire as his God? This is a teacher, a professor. But Allah deliberately led him astray with his knowledge, says the verse. He has made his ear deaf and his eye blind. He has made the eye of his heart blind. He says, I have turned his guidance into misguidance. Who can create guidance for him after me? Because why? He starts to act as his nafs wants him to act. There is no sunnah, no hadith, no ruling, no ijtihad, no ulema. So what will happen? It will be subject to my mind. Where is your mind subject to? Your mind is already subject to your life. It is subject to your nafs. Where is your mind subject to? Your mind is subject to your pleasure. Your mind is already doing whatever you want. If your mind was free from the whim of your nafs, you would already obey revelation. Why is revelation difficult for you? Because it goes against the pleasure of your soul, your nafs. Why did Allah send the Sharia? He sent it against the nafs. He makes you do the opposite of whatever you want. Because there is disaster when you want it. You want to eat too much? Problem. You crave sweets? Problem. Now if I do what I want, I'll be in a coma. I crave so much. Sweets, sherbets, dates. If I eat until morning, I won't get full. I want dessert so much. I'm craving it. Could it be, brother? What happens when my mind follows my desire? Because he craves it, he follows his desires and eating sweet. And when it does, the sugar becomes 550. And then my mouth burned, I got sick, my arteries clogged. That's what happens. Your mind should stop you. It should stop you from the whim of your nafs. It's like that in this world too. You want adultery? What will happen? You'll break up with your wife and your children will be miserable. You want adultery? You want to sleep with the opposite gender? Brother, can such a thing happen? Why did the Quran come? Why did the revelation come? To restrain your nafs. The Sharia has been assigned to the opposite of the whim of the nafs, says Hazrat Imam Rabbani. It is always against the nafs. What the nafs wants, Islam wants the opposite of it. You look at what Islam says and your nafs does not want it. When Islam says lie down, it wants to get up. When it says get up, you want to lie down. You have done Isha at night, he says go to bed. It says get up at 2 o'clock in the morning for tahajjud. What does your desire want? It wants to watch TV series until 2 o'clock. After 2, it says go to bed. When Mawla says go to bed, it wants to get up. When he says get up, it wants to go to bed. When he says look, it wants to not look. When he says don't look, it wants to look. He says look at your mother's face. He asks, what do I do with my mother's face? Look at your mother. She says worship. Look at the Kaaba. It says worship. He wants to look at other things. He doesn't do what he says to do. He wants to do what he says to don't do. Therefore, if you go with rationality here, religion is gone. That is why this Sharia has come against your nafs. Your mind is subject to the pleasure and whim of the nafs. Then you are not following your mind. What are you following? You follow your nafs because the mind is the work of the nafs. Your mind is not a mind freed from the bondage of the nafs, so you shouldn't act accordingly. It should be worthy of obedience. Already that mind is obeyed. Why follow that mind? Because that mind is on the path of revelation. Because it understands the truth of revelation.